2022, small town. Just past 3 in the morning. The roads are empty, streetlights flickering over puddles from last night's rain. I'm driving my usual beat, nothing unusual, just checking the quiet streets while the rest of the town sleeps. Coffee in the cup holder, radio playing low static between dispatch calls. A call pops up. Suspicious person behind the grocery store. Dumpster area. Nothing major, but it's me alone tonight. Dispatch says someone was seen loitering, maybe casing the place. I tell them I'm on it, pull into the narrow lot behind the store. The air smells damp, faint trash smell mixing with the early spring chill. I park the car under a lone streetlight. The beam barely cuts through the darkness. Nothing moves. I step out, the gravel crunching under my boots. Doors of the store are locked, windows dark. Dumpster lids sag, shadows pooling around them. No one in sight. I grab my flashlight, sweep the lot slowly. Empty. Just the hum of a far-off neon sign. I call it in, letting dispatch know nothing visible yet. Then I notice something. A flicker. Maybe a shadow behind a tree line near the back edge of the lot. I freeze, shine the light slowly toward it. Nothing. I move toward the dumpsters, flashlight cutting through the dark. The night feels heavier now. Every small sound is louder. Distant cars, wind shifting branches. I hear a clink, like metal hitting metal. I stop. Listen. Nothing again. My gut tells me someone's here, just hiding. I radio back, approaching the dumpster area. My voice sounds too loud in the quiet. I step around the first dumpster, shine the light across the lot. Empty. Just trash bags torn open by raccoons, a stray shopping cart. I shake it off, mutter to myself. Maybe it's nothing. Then a whisper of movement from the tree line. Leaves rustling. Not like the wind. Something deliberate. My heart speeds. I crouch behind the dumpster, flashlight low, scanning. A branch snaps. Again. Closer. I call it in, voice tight. I think I got movement near the tree line. Dispatch acknowledges. Tells me backup is about 5 minutes out. I tell myself it's enough. Just wait for them. But instinct pushes me forward. I circle the lot slowly, checking shadows. The night feels alive. Too alive. Each step I take seems louder than the last. Then I see it. A figure standing just beyond the tree line. Still. Watching. I shine the flashlight directly at it. Empty. Nothing there. I swear I saw eyes glint. Reflex, maybe. I take a step closer. Crackling underbrush. My pulse is loud in my ears. I call again. Still nothing visible. Might be animals. Then the gunfire hits. From the tree line. Bullets slam into the ground around me, kicking gravel and dust. I dive behind the dumpster, heart hammering, ears ringing. The world narrows to sound. 1 shot, 2 shots, rapid fire. Each one closer than the last. I crawl back to the car, dragging myself along the asphalt, flashlight bouncing in the dark. More shots ring out. I can see shell casings flying from the shadows, tiny sparks against the black. My hands are shaking, adrenaline burning through me. Dispatch shouts over the radio. Shots fired. Shots fired. Are you hit? I hit the mic, voice cracking. I'm okay. Just pinned down. Another burst of bullets. One ricochets close, bouncing off the dumpster with a deafening clang. I peek out from cover. No one. Just the dark edge of the trees. The shooter isn't showing themselves. It's like they vanished into the night. I realize now it wasn't a loiterer. The call, it was bait. A setup. They knew I would come alone. I crawl to the car, yank the door open, throw myself inside. Engine roars to life. Tires spin on wet asphalt as I peel out. Behind me, the gunfire stops. Silence swallows the lot. I glance in the rearview mirror. Nothing moves. Only shell casings glittering faintly in the streetlight glow. Backup arrives moments later. Their sirens break the stillness, lights flashing. I tell them what happened, but by the time they check the tree line, there's no one. No footprints, no sounds, just the evidence of gunfire left behind. We sweep the area. Nothing. I know they're out there, somewhere, but they've melted back into the night. I can't shake the image of those eyes, glinting in the dark. The thought of how deliberate it was, how easily I was lured into a trap, sticks in my chest. The rest of the night is quiet. Dispatch keeps me on the radio until daylight. I sit in the patrol car, staring at the tree line, feeling the weight of every shadow. The town wakes slowly. Morning light washes over the empty lot. Everything looks normal again, like nothing happened. But I know it did. Even now, the thought lingers, that someone knew my routine, knew I would come alone. And somewhere, they're waiting for the next call, the next patrol, the same trap ready to snap. I drive home. Streets quiet. Coffee gone cold in the cup holder. Sun climbing. But the memory of the gunfire, the cold calculation behind it, sticks. I can still hear it echo in my ears. Every so often, late at night, I imagine those shadows moving just beyond the tree line. I tell myself it's just nerves. But the truth is, I don't want to find out if it isn't. And that's the part that keeps me uneasy. Knowing that somewhere in the darkness, the ambush could happen again. And next time, maybe I won't be so lucky. It was the kind of shift that dragged on. The hours blending into each other, the radio crackling only now and then with small calls. Most nights out here were like that. Long stretches of nothing. The desert pressing in on all sides. Stars so sharp they felt like they could cut through the dark sky. By the time the clock hit past 2, my body was heavy with routine, the kind of quiet that tricks you into thinking nothing bad can happen at this hour. The highway itself was empty. No headlights behind me. No glow ahead. Just blacktop fading into more blacktop. I had the window cracked, letting the dry night air creep in, carrying the faint smell of dust and desert brush. I remember thinking how still it was, how even the crickets seemed tired this far into the night. That's when I saw it. Pickup truck, beat up, dragging itself along the road like it barely had the strength to keep going. The taillights were dull, one flickering every few seconds, and it wandered across the line like the driver couldn't decide where the lane was. Out here, at this hour, that was enough reason to take a closer look. I slowed, hit the lights, and the truck hesitated before pulling over. The kind of hesitation that makes your stomach knot for no real reason, like whoever's inside doesn't want to stop. But eventually it rolled onto the shoulder, gravel crunching under its tired tires. I stepped out, boots hitting the dirt, flashlight in hand. The night felt bigger the second I left the cruiser. The beam cut through the darkness, catching the back of the truck, the dust hanging in the air. The driver had both hands on the wheel when I reached the window. Knuckles pale, fingers twitching, like it took everything not to let go. I asked the usual questions. keeping my tone steady, but it was the way his eyes kept moving that caught me. Not at me, not straight ahead. He kept flicking them toward the back, toward the tarp stretched over the bed of the truck. I told him to keep his hands where I could see them. He nodded, throat bobbing hard, and when I asked what was under the cover, he stammered something I couldn't make out. I lifted the flashlight, angled it toward the back. The tarp shifted a little in the wind, edges loose, not tied down as tight as it should have been. There was a dark stain near the corner. I froze. In this kind of light, it could have been oil, could have been rust, but I'd seen enough to know the pattern didn't sit right. I stepped back, told him to get out of the truck. His hands shook harder. He muttered something low, almost like he was talking to himself, and then in one sudden move, he shoved the door open. He didn't fight. He didn't argue. He just ran out into the desert, boots pounding against hard earth, his figure swallowed almost instantly by the dark. No light, no sound but his footsteps fading, then nothing. The truck sat there, engine humming, tail light flickering like a dying heartbeat. I walked to the back. My hand felt heavier with every step. The tarp was loose, corners flapping. I pulled it back slow, not sure I wanted to see. Restraints, duct tape, rope, stained fabric thrown in a heap. The metallic smell hit first, sharp and sour, cutting through the dry desert air. There was no mistaking it now. I reached for the radio, thumb pressing down, ready to call it in. My voice caught in my throat before I could speak, because something moved, not from the truck, from behind me, the kind of movement you don't hear at first, you feel it. The shift of weight on dirt, the subtle drag of a boot, slow, deliberate. I froze, my body locking up before my mind could catch up. I turned the flashlight, beam sweeping across the endless dark. At first there was nothing, just scrub brush and flat earth stretching to the horizon. Then a shape, far enough away it didn't make sense, close enough to know it wasn't a trick of the light. Standing still, I called out, voice rough, more force than confidence. The shape didn't move, didn't answer, just stood there, the kind of stillness that makes your chest tighten. The wind picked up, carrying grit across the road, rattling the tarp. I blinked and the shape was gone. I spun in a full circle, flashlight darting, heart hammering against my ribs. No sound, no sign of footsteps, just the echo of my own breathing. The desert was empty. I forced myself back to the radio, hand shaking as I pressed it again. Static, just static. That's when I heard it. Not ahead, not behind, closer. A whisper of movement near the truck, low to the ground, almost crawling. My flashlight jerked down and caught something slipping under the frame, too fast to see clearly. I stumbled back, pulse roaring in my ears. The engine sputtered, headlights flickering, and for a split second I swore I saw eyes reflecting from beneath the truck. Not the driver's, not human. I drew in a sharp breath, ready to drag whatever was under there out. But before I could move, the truck died. Lights gone, engine silent. The world dropped into absolute darkness. The kind of darkness where you can't tell if your eyes are open. I stood frozen, every nerve screaming, trying to listen past the sound of my own heart. Then footsteps, not running, not rushing, just slow, careful, coming closer, circling, staying just outside the reach of the weak flashlight beam. I wanted to run. Every part of me wanted to get back in the cruiser, lock the doors, call for backup. but my legs wouldn't move. I lifted the light again, swung it wide, and there it was, just for a breath. A figure crouched low at the edge of the desert brush, too thin, too twisted, head angled like it didn't belong on the shoulders. The second the light hit it, it slid back into the dark, gone again. I heard the crunch of dirt right behind me. I turned fast, breath catching, but nothing was there. Just open road. The radio crackled suddenly, loud in the silence, making me jump so hard I nearly dropped it. No voice, just the same static, but threaded with something faint, like breathing pressed against the line. I didn't wait anymore. I backed toward the cruiser, flashlight darting, expecting something to lunge from the dark any second. My hand fumbled for the door handle, my body shaking hard enough to hurt. When I finally pulled it open, I caught one last glimpse of the truck in the beam. The tarp had shifted again. Only this time it wasn't the wind. Something underneath was pushing upward. The fabric bulged, strained against whatever pressed from inside. And then it stilled like whoever or whatever was under there didn't want to be seen moving anymore. I slammed the door, threw the cruiser into gear, and tore down the highway faster than I should have. The rearview mirror stayed dark, but I couldn't shake the weight that something was still watching. The rest of the night blurred. I drove until there were lights again, until the desert broke and gas stations glowed faint in the distance. By then, my chest ached from how hard I'd been breathing. I never saw the driver again. The truck was gone when we came back with more units. No tarp, no restraints, just tire marks fading into the dirt, swallowed by the desert. I don't talk about that night much. Out here, strange things happen and the desert has a way of keeping its secrets. But sometimes, when the road is empty and the radio is quiet, I catch myself looking into the rearview. And I wonder if I left something behind that night, or if it followed me. It started from a night shift on the highway, the kind of night where everything feels stretched out and empty, no traffic for miles, just the hum of the patrol car under me and the endless black sky pressing down. Out here in Texas, the roads go on forever, broken only by gas stations that look half abandoned. The neon buzzing weakly like even the light is tired of being awake. I was running routine speed checks, looking for drunks weaving over the line. Nothing unusual. The night had been quiet, almost too quiet, the kind where every little sound sticks out. The chirp of the radio, the creak of the seat when I shifted. That quiet puts you in your own head, makes you notice things you normally wouldn't. Sometime past midnight, I spotted headlights in my mirror. A pickup coming faster than it should on a stretch this empty. I clocked it just a few miles over the limit, nothing major, but I decided to pull it over. Out here, sometimes the smallest stop tells you something bigger. I hit the lights, and the truck slowed, pulling onto the shoulder. Dust kicked up and hung in the beams of my spotlight, a kind of floating fog in the dark. The driver's window rolled down, and I walked up, keeping my flashlight steady. He looked nervous before I even said a word. Hands gripping the wheel too tight, jaw stiff, eyes darting between me and the dash like he was trying to settle himself. I tell him the usual late night, fast driving, where you headed. He says just passing through, voice low, like he was trying not to wake someone. Something about the way he said it stuck with me. Just passing through. People say that all the time, but his words had weight, like they carried something unsaid. I kept my tone even, shining the flashlight inside. Nothing unusual on the passenger seat, a couple of old fast food wrappers, empty coffee cups, dust on the dash. I swung the beam toward the back seat, just a quick sweep, and that's when I froze. There was someone sitting there. A girl. Young, couldn't have been more than 12, maybe 13, sitting straight-backed with her hands folded in her lap. Her hair was tangled, her face pale, and her eyes were locked on me. She didn't say a word, didn't move, just stared. My mouth went dry. I lowered the light quick and leaned down toward him, asked who else was in the car. He blinked like he didn't understand, then said nobody, just him driving through. I lifted the light again, heart kicking harder, and the back seat was empty. The seat was bare, nothing but an old blanket crumpled in the corner. No girl, no sign anyone had been there at all. I stepped back and told him to hang tight. I opened the back door myself, half expecting to see someone crouched down or trying to hide. But the seat was clean, the floor empty, nothing but stale air and the faint smell of cigarettes. For a moment, I thought maybe fatigue was playing tricks on me. Long night, quiet road, eyes catching shadows where they shouldn't. I shut the door and went back to him. He kept asking if everything was fine, his voice shaking just a little, like he was the one worried I'd seen something. Something in me wanted to push harder, ask him to step out, dig into why he seemed so nervous. But I didn't have anything solid to go on. No smell of alcohol, no drugs in plain sight, nothing illegal about a man driving late at night with nothing but old trash in the seat. So I wrote him a warning, handed it over, and told him to drive safe. He nodded fast, then pulled back onto the highway, his taillights shrinking until the dark swallowed them. I stood there a while, the empty road humming under the power lines, the wind brushing against me like it was carrying whispers. That image of her face wouldn't leave my head. The way she sat there silent, staring like she was waiting for me to do something. I shook it off, got back in the cruiser, and drove. Hours passed, the night slowly bleeding into morning, the horizon just starting to gray. I was thinking about heading in when dispatch crackled over the radio. They said to be on the lookout for a pickup, out-of-state plates, possible child abduction case. The description matched the truck I'd stopped. For a moment I couldn't breathe. The sound of the engine, the hiss of static on the radio, everything felt far away. They gave the details, said the suspect was wanted for taking a young girl. I gripped the wheel tight, staring at the stretch of empty road ahead, replaying it all in my mind. His nervous hands, his eyes that never settled, the way he said just passing through. And her face, that silent passenger I saw sitting in the back. But when I opened the door, she was gone. I never caught up to him, never saw that truck again. Sometimes I wonder if she was really there, or if I only saw what I needed to see. Maybe it was a warning, something I'll never understand. What stays with me isn't the man, not the truck, not even the call on the radio. It's her eyes, staring at me through the dark. And sometimes, late at night when the road is empty and the silence presses in, I still see her sitting there, waiting for me to look again.